It has
Thank
started.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Very warm welcome to each and every speaker, the eminent dignitaries who have joined as an expert on the Web3 ecosystem. And I welcome all the audience who will be feeling thrilled over these sessions which are coming up. To begin with, this Elteridium and Blockchain for Productive Forum, along with partners, New Rise Technosis Private Limited and Beyond Imagination Technologies. We are presenting today the impact of the Web3 ecosystem on the development of the public infrastructure. You might be hearing a lot of words. Let me begin the Gartner emerging technologies. That hype cycle is always, it comes every year for each and every field individually also, like IT. If you talk about, if you type the blockchain, then you will get for the detail for the blockchain also. So you should always refer and find the trend, that what are the trend coming up over the globally across the globe, and how many years it is likely to go, or it will continue, or it will take for the maturity level, at what level it is. So it's a very informative. Each dots indicates, what will be the impact, the range, how many years it's going to take, what are the critical enablers. So I would like to mention a couple of them. If you see the Web3, it is the center of the critical enablers. That means Web3 is going to be one of the driver for the future. The future internet, we call it. So it's based on the Web3. Then we come on the blockchain. If you see the blockchain almost in the center of this, then you see the tokenization. Of course, it will be enabled by the 5G and 6G technologies. Then you see the hyper-edge computing, hyperscale edge computing. Then hyper-automation in the security. The security, which is paramount to each and every sector across all the technologies. So basically the objective is why this Web3 is so important. Going next, if you go to the last year, August 2022, where this again the Gartner's hype cycle, you will find here the blockchain tokenization at what level, and you will see at the innovation level, or the peak, or it is basically at the slope of the enlightenment, or on the large at what scale. So this is another graph, especially for the students, and especially those who want to shape up their career, who want to shape up their businesses. Very important to understand these graphs. Our today's speaker, one by one, we'll basically introduce them in detail, but just to give a brief to all our speakers, we have for the keynote speaker, we have Prasanna Lohar sir. Mr. Prasanna Lohar, he's a Chief Executive Officer of the Block Estate. He carries a lot of experience. We'll introduce in the detail. Then we have Dr. Sarat Babu. He's the advisor of the Data Security Council of India. He's also honorary advisor, principal advisor to the Broadband India Forum. He is a former executive director, Society for Electronic Transaction and Security, which is under the Government of India, principal scientific advisor to the Government of India. Then moving ahead, the speakers, we have the vibrant speakers here. It's a mix of the very experienced and the young entrepreneurs. We have the Nikhil Goyal. He's the CEO of the Beyond Imagination Technology. Then we have the Kamlesh Nagware, CTO of the Snapper Future Tech. Dr. Satya Gupta. He's the chairman of the Blockchain for Productivity Forum. Along with this, he's a chairman, secretary, vice president of many, many forums, and he's serving the society as a social entrepreneur as well. Then we have a Srishti. Srishti Assudani is one of the young entrepreneur and very promising, basically the CBO. Then Dr. Not least, or is not in the last, is one of the host, and that who has originated this concept for this today's event is Dr. Akhil Damodaran. He's the founder of Elteridium. He's a cluster head, School of the Business of the UPS. Thank you, all the speakers. Then the session, as Professor Akhil has said, that I will be moderating this session. Web3. What do you understand about the Web3? Just think. You heard the name by now, the metaverse, Web3, cryptocurrency, tokenization, the blockchain. You know, all of them, how they are working together. Is it going to, they're going to integrate? They're going to be complementary. They're going to be marriage of this. So these experts, they will throw the light across this. The blockchain is very fascinating. It's a lot of hype is being created. It's a reality. What is there any killer application which has come out so far? Or if not, what are the key hindrances? We'll also see some of the regulatory interoperability challenges, the standard challenges into this, which will basically enable the whole ecosystem. So I will not basically take much time between you and the speakers. So, you know, the John McAfee have said, Web3 is creating a more secure and private web, where users can trust that their data will be kept safe and confidential. Ultimately, it's your own web, your data. You will have the all control. You will have the decentralized web applications. You will have your own identity. You know, but the implementation of this, even digital identity, NFT, lot of basically issues, challenges, development, progress, all this. You will hear from some of our basically entrepreneurs, some of the experts. They will throw the light. So, ladies and gentlemen, let us deep dive into the Web3. Now, I will introduce Dr. Sarat Babu. Give me a second, please. Dr. Sarat Babu, he's an advisor to the Data Security Council of India, which is under the NASSCOM. He's also honorary principal advisor to the Broadband India Forum. He's a former executive director of the Society for Electronics Transactions and the Security, SATS, Chennai, which, having said earlier, that this is a strategic organization which works under the principal scientific advisor to the government of India. This was set up by our Abdul Kalam Azadji. It was his initiative. Dr. Sarat is a PhD from IIT Delhi. He had a quite good experience in the cybersecurity areas, hardware security, the QKD, which is a post-quantum cryptography, which is just now you might have heard the national mission, the policy on the national mission has been released by the government of India. About 6,000 crores, and initially it has been basically allocated for this. He's one of the network security expert. He has been executive director of the CDAC Bangalore, and he has been founder director of the CDAC Bangalore. So he is a mighty person. He has been a professor in the NIT Warangal. So with a lot of experience, I would like to request now Dr. Sarat Babu, please enlighten us, sir. Dr. Sarat Babu.
Morning.
Yours is yours. Thank you, sir.
Morning to all, and thank you, Dr. Shiv, for the elaborate introduction. I just make use of 2 slides with your permission. So sharing now. Are you able to see the slide?
Yes, sir.
What I can say is as Dr. Shiv has already narrated my experience, it is slightly different from the context of the conference, but I did agree because I thought I will learn the new directions, and also I learned from the eminent speakers who are here from industry. So it's an opportunity for me. At your cost, I am coming here. But I just thought, okay, I'll share some of the thoughts based on whatever experience that I had. So, this is just to give you a timeline of the internet evolution, and everyone knows that right from 1965 to as on date, the kind of every step was a revolution and led to what we are enjoying as an internet. And it started right from a simple dial-up connection between two research institutes to then ARPANET in '69, which is kind of a beginning. In 1974 is Robert Cohen and Vincent Cerf. They have laid the foundation for the internet by bringing TCP/IP protocol. And over a period of time, I'm not going through every aspect, but you know that the first web browser came in 1993, which is Mosaic, and later on Netscape, that was really created. And Tim Berners-Lee's World Wide Web was really an important thing that happened on internet, which made many people to become users. And as on date, we have 5 billion people online. And this is an interesting thing happened in the history of mankind. So today, if you see the kind of applications in which we are all in the internet world, and name anything, right from the industrial automation systems to even simple home automation, everything is connected. We're talking about AI, big data, IoT, Internet of everything. And who is the decision maker? At the end of the day, is it a man? Now we are also having a doubt with the kind of revolution that's happening in artificial intelligence and the kind of discussions that are happening with the ChatGPT kind of environments that is created. A lot of confusion and a lot of kind of people are really at a crossroads at this point of time. And I think it's the right time to see. Of course, these are just slides I've skipped, because this is just saying what's happening, a world with drones flying, self-driving cars, buzzing and upgraded human beings, like kind of Gartner's report, what he has given, a lot of technologies. I think I'm not going to repeat this. This is what Gartner's report also mentions, some of these technologies, right? Metaverse, quantum computing, digital twins, all these things. And we are at Web3, right? So we are at everything interconnected today, and we have automated cars, driverless cars, and intelligent traffic control systems, everything. Right? So, and digital things, and you all know that a physical thing is replicated in software, and anything that happens in the physical thing, you can actually feel in the software model and then implement that, and quickly you can do. So that inexpensive way, very complex systems could be maintained, repaired, and so on. So actually today, the data that's going through the water, there's an analogy to water cycle, the data cycle, right? Today we are in the world of data, right? So everything is connected to the data. Web3 is going to be connected to the data. That's the very reason of why we are thinking about Web3 is because in the regular web, we don't have control of data, and Web3, we are planning to have the data with our control. Here, the idea is whatever physical environment, how the rains fall from taking the evaporation of various resources and then transpiration and then the precipitation. All these aspects happen here with the technologies like IoT, big data, cloud. In between, there is a fog computing, edge computing, and all these things happen, right? So finally, what I'm trying to say here is this is a continuous cycle. Continually, as you grow on IoT devices, you know that every environment is getting equipped with Internet of Things. Everything is getting connected to the IoT. That means as the data is increasing, then you do the cloud computing requirements grow, then the big data analytics will grow, and the results which become more intelligent, we will make more and more devices to come. This is a kind of in a loop. So this is a kind of continuous loop and change. So data is becoming thing which is driver of the world. Whoever is having the data, they are powerful, right? So this is And so coming back to the simple thing, World Wide Web created by Emotive Berners-Lee. They are all for carrying out research at the nuclear research labs. They have started, and that is the World Wide Web. And there are Web 1.0, Web 2.0, Web 3.0, right? So the Web 3, this is different from Web 3.0. This is one key thing that we'll be observing. So if you see Web 1.0 is an Internet of Information. Normally we use for reading, and Internet of Web 2.0 was for read and write, that is Internet of Interactions happened. And Web 3.0, Internet of Value, where it has become semantic web, there's a lot of inter-exchange of data between the websites and so on. And Web 3 is something different, where we wanted to have not only read, write, but also we would like to have the control of data. So this is exactly what is mentioned here. Basically, what we are trying to see here is the Web3 is something built as a decentralized one, and the base technology is the blockchain technology, which will have decentralized storage, peer-to-peer networking, and so on. So these are all the key things: decentralized, peer-to-peer, and the open internet kind of a thing, and to have the control of data. Why we wanted to have control of data? Till today's Web 2.0, the data that we create is going to the few technology giants, and we were not able to have a control on it. So the idea now in Web 3 is to have control on our data. So this is just to say how Web 3 is different. That I mentioned that users have more control over their data, and how it will impact is we can. One is financial things like decentralized finance platforms could be created where there are no intermediaries like banks. You can lend, you can do all financial transactions peer to peer. Of course, there are other technology issues to be taken care, which we expect that the blockchain with its transparency, security, and immutability kind of features, it will be able to support this kind of applications. Similarly, health applications, decentralized health applications, where the health records of the patient or the individual can be kept under their control, and they can securely, and they can decide when to give, whom to give, and so on. Right. So one of the key things that is observed in Web3 is, because we are talking about blockchain technology as the core technology for the Web3. So there is a scalability issue. As of now, blockchain, we know that there are delays in transactions, and it's of course high performance platforms are coming in blockchain, which I probably listed at the end. So the more transactions per second is happening now with high performance computing backgrounds. But still, we know that because there is a consensus issue, consensus protocols, proof of work, and proof of stake, all these things are implemented, but they all take a finite amount of time. And as the number of users grow in the Web3, this is an important thing. Scalability need to be addressed. These are some of the key people: Berners-Lee, World Wide Web, and Satoshi Nakamoto, who is the key person for the Bitcoin, and is responsible for the blockchain technology. And we have Vitalik Buterin, who has come out with the creator of Elteridium, decentralized blockchain platform. And we have another file storage system, interplanetary file system, which is also a base technology for Web3, which has come from Gavin Bennett. And Gavin Wood, who has arrived at the fastest high performance blockchain platform. So these are some of the things that blockchain uses in Web3. One is, as I mentioned, decentralized finance, decentralized applications, different applications for different things. And Polkadot is one blockchain platform which is considered to be fast enough to take care of certain level of scalability. And for the creative things to be taken care, non-fungible tokens could be used for the assets created, which are more artistic in nature, like art, music, etc. We can make use of non-fungible tokens. And we'll also be able to have the supply chain management. Blockchain platforms will help Hyperledger and all would help the supply chain management systems provide end-to-end transparency and traceability. So identity management. These are some of the important things blockchain provides. And there are a number of platforms. I would not be going through these things. I know experts will be here to tell us what are the best things to happen. One thing I just wanted is Polkadot is a multi-chain platform that allows multiple blockchains to interact together. Because once you come to the Web3 and blockchain is the core technology, very important thing is there is a exchange of data amongst the different types of blockchain platforms. So Polkadot kind of things would provide you the interoperability among the different blockchain networks. So these are some of the things that we mentioned, the key features. One is the transparency. Another important thing is trustless transactions. You don't need to trust. That is, you don't need to have a kind of a certifying authority or something like that in this kind of a Web3. Between two members who are transacting, trust is taken care by blockchain technology. And we have the decentralization as the key feature, and the cryptographic security that is inbuilt into the blockchain technology from one block to another block, having a hash of previous block. So it gives you a lot of comfort as far as the security is concerned. And ownership of data, the key things. We're all actually Web3, the key point is the ownership of data, and it enables the individuals to own and control their data, which ensures their privacy. Right? So this is thing, and where, of course, our title is now the impact of Web3 on the potential infrastructures. And we have seen that in the first few slides, a lot of things happening. Smart cities kind of projects are coming, and everything is connected to the internet. So transportation, energy, water, these are all traditionally not into the kind of electronics and IT, but today they are inseparable. Without technology, as much as hardware, so much of software is also used. Even the automotive sector, manufacturing sector, the cars with driverless cars, a lot of intelligence is being built in. So everything, and they are getting connected to the Internet of IoT. So in all these aspects, so you see that not only the traditional IT environment, even the SCADA environments, industrial control systems, everything comes into the thing, and where the data is more valuable, right? Transportation sector, energy sector, where the data, because there is a lot of energy trading, and like short-term open access, long-term open access, like that, regional dispatch centers, road dispatch centers, they all work on the energy trading based on the time of the time and how much the power has to be distributed and so on. So for this, once again, if it is connected on the internet where the data doesn't belong to them, this is a severe loss. So the enterprises and the various sectors of economy of the nation, they will be highly benefited if Web3 is support comes into these sectors. Other healthcare, education, government services, they're all in need of this thing, because for example, voting systems and public record systems like land record systems, with for example, e-voting and land record systems, Telangana government has implemented using the blockchain technology. And these pilots are highly successful. There is an effort has to come. I think Indian government, which is pushing digital India in an aggressive way, I think would definitely look at some of these benefits that is happening through Web3, especially using the blockchain technology. I think because there is a bit of problem. Blockchain technology, the moment we talk about cryptocurrency comes first into the picture, and people are little, because there's no specific policy, there's doubts about the technology and difficulties. So regulation aspects are coming to the picture. So, but the blockchain as a technology and the Web3, not only for the financial things, but there is other aspects also it can be considered. So these are some benefits that in some sense without transparency, decentralized funding, and improved collaborations are possible. And also it is going to be more secure and privacy will be taken care of. So these are various things that we come up across. Blockchain, smart contract. Smart contract is the key thing when you talk about the decentralized autonomous organizations, which are the key for the Web3, in which the blockchain technology is used for the decisions to be automatically taken. The software code that is inbuilt into the thing is the smart contracts, which is very popularly used. Metaverse is going to help in this Web3 kind of an environment, this kind of connecting the physical and virtual worlds. The Web3 can play an important role. These are some of these things which we mentioned. There are a number of case studies, crypto-enabled public infrastructure funding, blockchain-based record keeping for public infrastructure project, decentralized infrastructure management, decentralized finances. So these are all the areas where a lot of pilots have come. In fact, I forgot the tools, or rather I didn't list out the tools here. There are tools for the technology people how to use Web3 effectively and guide you, and also for non-technical people how to use these things. And there are a number of tools that are available. Aragon project is one such a thing, which is shown here for the infrastructure management. So there is, I think, to accelerate the use of Web3 kind of concepts, a lot of tools have come for the technical savvy people as well as not savvy. So the impact of AI, I think nothing goes without AI, especially when you talk about Web3, so many interesting features, the machine learning, deep learning kind of technologies would go in, and it will happen in its own. There will be intelligent blockchains, intelligent protocols, and what we look at is AI being right now used in every aspect, and intelligence close to human has to happen. So the use of AI becomes important in all these technologies, Web3 related technologies. And the only thing one has to be clear on how you make use of this technology. There are two aspects coming into AI now, because ethics are one aspect, and also for auditing why a decision was taken. Responsible artificial intelligence and explainable artificial intelligence aspects would be roped into Web3 kind of environments. And quantum computing is futuristic. Today, the more practical quantum computers are slowly coming. Google, IBM, they are all arriving at. There is an advantage of using quantum computing in Web3. The scalability kind of issues when you use the quantum computer as a backbone, you take care of using quantum computing and blockchain. A lot of research is happening together, and there is definitely going to be an impact of quantum computing in the infrastructures where we try to use the blockchain and Web3 kind of technologies. One aspect is to provide computing and speed up the things and provide faster transactions. The second thing, of course, there is another aspect of quantum. There is security issues. There are certain protocols which can be broken by the quantum computers, especially the RSA kind of algorithms which are used and ECC kind of algorithms. So there is a need for either to safeguard yourself, and there is research happening, and NIST has created a challenge called as a post-quantum cryptography challenges, and they have shortlisted the key encryption modules as well as the signature algorithms, and people started using them, and so there is light. And quantum security itself, by using quantum algorithms, you can securely manage, and for the key distribution, we can use the quantum key distribution for free space or fiber optic based things. So there is a possibility of using the quantum computing thing. Of course, for any technology, there are certain limitations, and I will not go into everything, but regulatory hurdles are there, especially because of the doubts on the cryptocurrency by various nations. And there is a need for education and training. There is capability building is an important aspect one has to look at. And scalability, I have already mentioned. User experience, unless user experience gains, would not scaling up would not happen. The mindset, as I told you, okay, there are certain doubts, and also changing what is owning the data, the importance of the data for everyone they come to know. And I think the success happens when everyone understands that the data of mine is important. I should have control on the data. If that percolates well now into the people who are using internet, everyone will aspire for having the Web3. So I will not go into this Web3. There are certain security issues. especially where Web3 and Web 2.0 architectures connect together, interact. There's whatever vulnerabilities are there in Web 2.0 can happen in Web 3, in spite of having the advantages of secure blockchain environments. And slow updates I have mentioned. So these are a few things. Privacy concerns are also expressed because here the data is expected to be shared by all. So there's an element of privacy, whether you have permission blockchains or permissionless blockchains or together hybrid models. So these are all the research that is happening, evaluation is happening. So this is just to give you a list of things, some of the things which we mentioned: decentralization of data and workflows, decentralized governance, redefined data ownership, trustless and permissionless controls, use of blockchain and smart contract technologies, private keys for user authentication. These are some features which you can think metaverse support and so on. This I would not, this actually slide is interesting, but I don't think I will exceed the time. It covers everything that is, and I will share this thing thanks to some. I think there are a lot of resources which you can see. These are limited, not limited to this. There is so much of literature available. There are some white papers in the Ethereum white paper, Mastering Ethereum, Web3 Foundation, Consensus, Ethereum Stack Exchange, cookies, and so on. This is just briefly, I wanted to say, I'm sure that I didn't go deep into the technology aspect. I just thought, being the first speaker, I bring in some of the key points of Web3 and how Web is evolved from Web 1.0 to 2.0. Thanks for giving me this opportunity to the blockchain for productivity for Elteridium, especially to Dr. Satya, Chairman, and Dr. Akhil, for both of them for giving me this opportunity. I look forward to interact more.
Thank you, Dr. Sarat Babu sir. It's like not only the research areas you have touched into the, you have given a lot of food for thought for the students and for the researchers, how they can choose their different projects.
Very good afternoon and welcome everyone.
How you can choose, one can choose the different type of area. You touched on the Web3 opportunities, attributes, and the features are there. Then you also touched the challenges in terms of the standards, interoperability, and the regulations which is going to face. You have very rightly told, sir, ethics and auditing. That is one of the important criteria other than the security which you have touched. On the Web 1, Web 2, Web 3, very timelines, and you have given the different, how they were designed, how it has been developed or evolved. As a broadband man, I will tell one thing. The Web 1, Web 1 is like internet, Web 2 is like a broadband providing the high speed, Web 3 is like a gigabit per second. So much of the magnitude of the difference, Web 1, Web 2, Web 3. Web 3 is going to open a lot of business, social, that opportunities. And the future, certainly, the Dr. Sarat Babu had touched the different technologies. This is really one need to learn and one need to choose that what is for everyone, there is something basically in the technology. Thank you, sir. Moving forward, I'd like to introduce the next speaker. Our next speaker is Mr. Prasanna Lohar, the one of the award-winning banker, digital architect, industry innovator. He's a board member on the number of organizations. He's a fintech include winner, startup mentor, leadership coach with the 23 years of the experience at all levels, engineering, management, innovation as CXO. He worked globally for the banks, fintech, microfinance, then engineering, multinational companies for the digital and architecture transformation. Worked on the different cutting edge technologies he has been working. He has been supporting the startup, fintech and startup alignment, open innovation practices, ecosystem collaboration with the government, big tech, fintech, banks, academia. He is a CEO at the Blockstack. He has been president. He is a president of the India Blockchain Forum and director of the Association of Emerging Technologies India, Future Transformation Advisor of the banking ecosystem. He has worked 360 degrees of banking ecosystem as a banker into different banks. Welcome, Mr. Prasanna Lohar. Floor is yours, and we are looking for the great enlightenment. Thank you, sir. Mr. Prasanna Lohar, you are there?
Yeah, am I audible?
Yeah, please go ahead,
yes,
sir.
Yes, sir. So you want to share the PPT?
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. It's coming.
It has come, sir.
Yeah, I think wonderful agenda. I think I was hearing Mr. Sarat. I think there are some slides will be common, but let's leave with that. I think this is a need of time, right? So how we can have a smarter life for human beings, and everybody who is listening us today or everybody is around us always expect a better life or better livelihood services from the governments. And the way we have seen Indian government, for example, and the kind of as I come from banking ecosystem, the way bank has evolved since last 10 years or every 10 years we have seen something or the other thing came, and it has touched upon every human being in India. At least the aspiration was how we can reach out to the last mile. We have seen 2022 budget and 23 budget, how Indian government is looking at inclusion of or adoption of technologies like smart agriculture, drone technologies, 5G. On top of that, they have had a vision around how AI, blockchain kind of a technology should be nurtured at academia level. They are bringing on a lot of labs around 5G. I think a lot of momentum in India, but ultimately when technology comes, we need always look at how technology will come and change our life, right? So while we are doing banking, healthcare, while we have our own life around entertainment media, the government plays major role, right? Rather, how we are taking services from the government. So we'll deep dive for this discussion. I think thank you so much for organizers here for bringing this wonderful session. And I'm sure this is just a first session, and hope this session will bring on, apart from discussions, brainstorming, to let's look at how we collaborate with the government and bring some of those required use cases. Now, if you go back 30 years before, and if you think of what is going to happen after next 7 to 8 years, so the way we go and ask for caste certificate, ask for some of those subsidies, ask for some of those services from the government, more or less these services are always manual, in the sense people are required. There are examples outside of India, we could see many of those services are automated, but that again, it comes with a lot of a technology adoption. There we are not talking about any Web3 or AI or internet or blockchain and so on, but on existing technologies, people have really made that automation happen, right? So we need to see what is really happening at a various government level, typically in India or outside of India, even if the technology is available and even if the technology is the best of the best technology that moment, right? We have seen the technology back, as we heard, right? Internet is there since so many years, and we have seen how internet is really has changed us since last 20 to 25 years. But will you be interactive with the people for any of your government services the way we see voting system, right? Still it is on offline, right? So you have to go there in some of those authorized centers, vote and come back. We used to do bank branching, we used to go to the bank branch and do any of those banking services, come back home. It's a tedious operation. While it was a superb operations during those days, because that is what was available. Now, while we are thinking, what is my service, government, banking, financial, healthcare, today in 2023, think of that service, what is going to happen to that service in the next 7 years. Now, look at this water, right? So are we going to use water in a better way? The way there are 17 sustainable development goals, which is being defined back in 7-8 years back at UN, along with 100+ countries. Water is one of the agenda, health is another agenda. So how are we going to take care of those agendas, right? So are we going to complete those agendas? Are you going to sit on different agendas where government is playing, going to play major roles, right? So we heard professor about what is happening, how internet adoption is happening because of big tech companies. There are a lot of public digital platforms are coming in. There is a goal of 17 sustainable goal. A lot of technology do come every 20 years. We have seen industry revolutions 1, 2, 3, 4, and within a 4 we have seen internet 1 or a web 1, web 2, web 3. But still we feel, are we really good enough, right? So internet has given a lot of traction, new way of working businesses. We have seen how web 1 has evolved to the web 3 with the help of any of those communication media. Like back in 2000, it was maybe 1G or 2G, and now today we are living in an era of with aspiration how India will become a 6G compliant, right? Which is a recent announcement. So I think as a part of a Web3, a professor spoke about which are those technologies are there. Internet has certainly changed our life. There are different generations, and every generation has a different way of interacting with the government. And there is a different need of every generation. Example, if you ask some of those old traditional people or citizens, you have to do all these things. You have to apply for, there is an Umang app where you can see all of those things. There is some income tax app there. You have to go and fulfill your needs. There is a Arogya Setu, or there is a new certificate or a new health card is coming, or there are many more other things are coming. So they will say, we are not okay with that. So primarily, even if we adopt Web 3, Web 2 or Web 1, we need to see in which era we are, various generations, and what is the need of that generation that moment. Example, millennials or Gen 20 or our next gen would never like to go to any physical branch or a physical office of a government and do this operation, provided that if they have to do it, it will be forceful, right? Because everything is going extreme digital, right? Everything is going extreme digital. My bank, my health company or hospitals, my government, my company where I'm taking services for, I want them to know me. I want them to really give a personalized experience, right? If I'm around utilizing my mobile phone, I want which are the best of the best songs I would like to hear based upon my interest. What is there for me as a part of investment? What is there for me as a SME or a corporate? What is there for me as a farmer, right? So as a farmer, how my government is giving me an extreme digital experience, how they can tell me, oh, these are those grains and these are those plants you need to plant for this year, which will give a better yield. How can I do that, right? So how government, you can utilize satellite data, AI data to make most of your experience extreme digital. That's the attention we have to look at while we are living today in Web 3.0 or any of those. So while these aspirations are there, while we have Web 2, while we have internet, we keep hearing chat GPTs or generative AI is coming. Every other thing is in our way, but are we good enough to modernize our world? May not be, right? Today, still we have challenge of financial inclusion. Even if you go some of those villages, right? So since last 3, 4, 5 years, we have seen how UPI has penetrated everywhere, but still wherever internet is not there, there is a little lack of a better financial inclusion. Even if banks are trying to do better financial inclusion since last 13 years, since 2011's agenda, still there is a long way to go by saying, apart from education, this is a very, very important aspect for people to do better banking, having a better government services aligned there. Apart from, whenever we do digitalization, we are victim of some kind of a digital, some kind of frauds, or we could see this kind of a data, right? People are living with the fake certificates, fake PAN cards, or fake passports, and the government agencies, banks, hospitals are victim of this kind of fraudulent activities by our citizens. So I think there is a lot of challenge, rather opportunities, where we could see something somewhere in a Gujarat, where we have a traction around milk, and even there all the transaction happens manually. Or if you go in Punjab, the grains, right? Look at this mandi, right, which is on the right side. hell lot of operations, and the money received by a last mile farmer is comparatively is less the way he should receive. We have seen during demonetization, lot of transaction, lot of digitization happen, but still there is a long way to go on direct benefit to the customers. We have seen how real estate or buying, selling land or property, right? So there are some state governments in India tried doing it, but are we really there? Are we really there to give a wow experience the way we have given wow experience on a Zomato or a Swiggy, or we have given a wow experience on a UPI kind of a Google Pay, Phone Pay? I think there are some portals, but again, to do a transaction, we need some kind of a trust, right? So we need some kind of a trust, this is a insurance process, again, a tedious process. So anywhere you go, there is a lack of a trust. There is a lack of a smartness, right? And we are not saying that it should happen overnight. It will take its own time. We have seen last since we are independent in 1948 as India. Since then, we have done a lot of things, right? We have invested a lot on citizens, farmers. Things have evolved the way Web 1 has become a Web 3. And here onwards, we don't know what is going to happen, right? Rather, what is going to happen? How can we make it happen? That's very, very important, because it's the same government, bank, healthcare are looking forward for better citizens, better service for them. On vice versa, citizens, employees are looking forward. How can I have a better things? Now, this could be your experience, my experience at a government office, right? Example, last year when I was at my village, right? So the land which is being provided to my father back in 80s, I think there was some other rule and he has taken that land. But to authorize the land, there is a new GR or a new rule came in back in 2020, by which he was supposed to have his land on his own name. Government told him that you have to give this much money, which is a big money for him or for me, right? And to do that, you have to do it within the next 30 days. Imagine the land which we took in 1980, and all of a sudden government comes after 20-25 years, this land belongs to you only if you pay additional amount, right? Now to do that, while he is not well, while he is not there today, how I manage, right? So I manage with the help of lawyers. I manage with the help of many government people. I manage this with the help of my 6 to 7 trips to my hometown, managing my 6 to 7 times visit to multiple offices, from one office to another office. There is a village in the Gram Panchayat, then we have a circle office, district office, taluk office, and everybody has to approve. As a consensus, they have to approve, yes, now land is transferred, the money is given, and so on, right? So now this whole process, imagine, it's so tedious. It took more than 7 to 8 months, right? For me, wherein you have to visit sub-registrar office, collect the application forms, complete the application, process the payment. Now, while I have written only process the payment, it takes a lot of time, right? So there is disconnect, like there is disconnect between bank and the government. You have to go to the bank, take the voucher, go back to the government, again sign, get it signed, come back to the bank. It's all disconnected process. And this is one of those experiences which I have seen. And every individual must have seen multiple other experiences. So in a nutshell, I can conclude as a citizen of any government or India, operations are OPEC. Today, I order some food, I know where my food is reached. While there are little more opacness, but in the government, too much of opacness, there is no transparency, insufficient and slow. There is a privacy problem. Everything you have to write on a paper, give it to you. We don't know where is your document is lying, who are all utilizing it, right? So, and we say, we do not say, yes, there is extensive manual operation. So you can anticipate. Many people come with the many thought process, whether they are efficient or inefficient. We call it is corruption or anything like that. It's expensive. It takes a lot of time. There are so many people sitting in so many offices, forward purpose, God knows, right? So lack of digitization, outdated networking, the way we today talk about broadband or Web3, you go there, the kind of a router, kind of a setup, it's improving. I'm not saying it's not improved, but still there are challenges. and incorrect budgets, right? So the kind of budgets we have, right, it's incorrect, and I don't know how these are being utilized. Again, trust issues. While we are managing within government many more things, we could see what to do. Now, while I am dealing with government, externally my customer is changing. My customer is on my bank, was utilizing bank branches or health hospitals. It was all manual. Slowly, it is moving on mobile apps, right? We could see some of those government initiatives which are coming on mobile, where we can see your certificates. We have Aadhaar, we have India Stack, we have DigiLocker. We are utilizing data. The API kind of ecosystems are available. So today we are in the era of digital. And now we are aspired how we can become intelligent. While government is adopting many things, or there are public infrastructure, the way we could see NSDL or a Protean, which is the NSDL's digital arm, are looking forward to do a lot of digitalization, digital transformation, all the government services, so-called national open digital ecosystem. We had to adopt these intelligent and autonomous kind of technologies. We could see AI, ML, blockchain, metaverse, smart world, smart cities, 5G. We are slowly adopting. Now we need to see the way pace is happening in smaller countries like Estonia, the pace is happening in Dubai, or a pace is happening in Georgia, right? There are a lot of smart digitalization is happening. So expectation for a customer is changing. If you look at this kind of ecosystem, which is there in our banking ecosystem, where it is full of operations, disputes, any transaction you have to do on an e-commerce website or a tablet, POS network. For a customer, it is a wow experience, but within a bank, there is too much of operations. Now, when you talk about a government, or when you talk about blockchain-based applications, I think this session, I will not talk about much of blockchain, anticipating people know it's a smart system. People have seen how the magic or many systems worldwide, we keep hearing Bitcoins, Ethereums, right? And this system don't operate with any of those detailed infrastructure. Imagine same banking infrastructure we laid down with thousands of servers, middlewares, middleman, operations. Can I not change like this? Similarly, just anticipate the government services we spoke here, right? So can I not change this with some kind of a smart ecosystem? Possible? Yes, possible. Technology is there. We have seen how blockchain came in 2008 in form of some cryptocurrency, and there are thousands of cryptocurrencies. But apart from cryptocurrencies, for enterprises or healthcare or government and many more other banks are utilizing blockchains. Blockchain has its own way to get matured on layer 2 or privacy, data storages, and so on. While these things are happening, blockchain certainly comes and says that I will improve productivity of any of those ecosystems. And it will allow all the collaboration in a government ecosystem to bank, or bank to healthcare, or insurance, right? Any of those ecosystem, we will reduce the chain of intermediaries. I will not say that it will be reduced all of a sudden. As long as the humans are there, government is there, they will always look at how they can create this trust among all the participants, some kind of a centralization, decentralization, or some kind of a hybrid ecosystem. But for sure, you will see a lot of resource saving, right? So I think when you look at rise of Web3, right, there are a lot of ecosystems around a Web3. Professor spoke about many technologies. I will touch upon all these technology has to work together. It's not like one blockchain comes, or one AI comes, or one IoT comes, or one big data comes, and they say we will solve the government's problems. The technology has to work closely, work together from a front to back, where most of these Web 3.0 technologies will be on a backend side to make most of these ecosystems intelligent, so-called with the help of AI or so on. So today we may talk about many things, but I think down the line, next 20, 30 years will not about blockchain, Web3. We'll talk about a lot of use cases. We could see government will write down digital identity, land registry, voting systems, vehicle safety, energy management. So every ecosystem where more than two people are involved, two processes are involved, two departments are involved, certainly we'll go ahead and we'll create a blockchain or a smart ecosystem with a better security, better operations, clean governance, right trust. And I am not saying it is happen tomorrow, right? It will happen eventually, but we have to really collaborate more and see what more use cases. These are the some frameworks which will always go for people, which will say how to identify various use cases. The way Estonia has identified more than 290 use cases. Imagine more than 290 use cases of a government, including bank, healthcare is on a blockchain or AI. Smart Dubai vision. There are many countries apart from this, Switzerland, Georgia. India has done something in West Bengal, Telangana, Tamil Nadu, and you could see many more use cases will come. Am I running out of time, sir?
Yeah, of course, sir.
Yeah, just give me 5 minutes. Yeah. So in a nutshell, you will see every ecosystem wherever human being is involved. I think this could be the last slide. Voting, justice, law, energy, right? CBDC, tax collection, peer-to-peer payment, record keeping in the within a government, electronic healthcare. I think some of the initiatives has already started. In India, we could see how Telangana government, how Maharashtra government, West Bengal, Tamil Nadu, Kerala are picking up these areas. Certainly, initiatives like us, like this discussion is spearheading, but for sure, with the right support of a government, corporate companies, certainly we can see how many more initiatives can really go and touch our human life, right? I think wonderful to see how Satya sir and Dr. Akhil are bringing these kind of initiatives where I'm looking forward for the next panel session to see how what more are knowledge or use cases we can really see and implement. So let's be in touch. The way we are today talking with one of those prominent governments, and they are really looking forward. Telangana, where we advise, or Maharashtra, where we are talking with the state ministers. So certainly there is a huge inclination towards that. Mindset is slowly changing, and changing mindset will really make many more use cases with the help of Web3 and AI or blockchains and so on. Today, one of the use case which we are talking with the government is that how in 7 years we can create a smart hydraulic plant with the anticipation of the past data, and this data is going to help us to create a plant which is sustainable for many years together. That's the magic of your 5G data, and for sure that security will be bring on for blockchain. So I'll stop here, gentlemen, and look forward if there are any questions, or I'll look forward for a next session. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Prasanna Lohar. You have really rightly touched how we have gone from physical to basically digital to intelligent and then automation. You rightly said the change in the mindset is required. The mindset, that the youngsters or the young generation, they are changing. There is a lot of change in the mindset, a lot of changes in the technologies, and we have to match that. And Web3 is certainly going to lead the transformation. Also, you rightly said that the adoption of in India and the government, and I would like to pose one of the question to the audience. They just can think, which is the one of the country which is totally digital, who has gone digital even in the everything, even in the voting and everything, it has gone digital. So just guess, it is Estonia. Thank you very much. Now I'd like to introduce Dr. Satya Gupta. 1 second, sir. Dr. Satya Gupta, he is the chairman of the organizations like Blockchain for the Productivity Forum, Bharat IPv6 Forum. He's Secretary General of ITU APT, Foundation of India, Chairman of the Blue Time India and the BIMSTEC. Almost everybody of you every one of you must be knowing him, but still just a couple of lines. He's an NGN guru. He works on as expert on the NGN technologies, regulations, interconnection, broadband. For more than 4 decades, he has been serving the society. He post-graduated from the ISC Bangalore. He got his PhD from the, it was already awarded on his work. It's not that he took the admission to the PhD and then he has gone to the whole. It was recognized, awarded by the Commonwealth Vocational University, Kingdom of the Tonga, Asia Pacific. And he has been doing a lot of work in the blockchain, into the different type. He's working with the social organizations, social entrepreneurs. The DigiGao is one of the Job Factory Foundation. He coined the new term. So without taking much time, thank you very much, sir. Floor is yours, sir. Please.
Thank you, Dr. Shiv, and for such a nice words, and also for this opportunity given to me. But it has been a great learning for me by listening to Mr. Prasanna and Dr. Sharat Babu. Actually, they have told most of it what was supposed to be covered by me also. So I'll not use any PPT. I'll just need 5 to 7 minutes to bring a new perspective to this debate. Actually, basically use of Web3 for creating the public infrastructure. That is the idea given by Dr. Akhil for this webinar series. And as far as the public infrastructure is concerned, actually, so now Web3 has become very clear. Actually, it will be a read, write, own web. First web, as you know, 1980 was read only, and then there was a read, write web, interactive web in 2005, and now we are talking of the third generation of web. Read, write, own. It is all about ownership, and that is where the blockchain plays the role. Decentralization, ownership. I have called these Web3 as worldwide owned wealth, actually, not just web. Worldwide owned wealth. And that is what Web3 can do, actually. Everything what you contribute to the internet, even as a user or as a creator, or so you create two things. One is content and other is wealth. So the content and wealth and someone else gets benefited by that till Web 2 actually. So these main technology companies. So what Web 3 is basically aiming is that whosoever creates the content or data, he owns it, he can monetize it, and he controls it actually. And that is the main message of Web 3. And one thing is the ownership, but then it can do a lot of other things also, as was explained by Mr. Prasanna. So what I will bring a new concept called virtual digital public good. It is a type of infrastructure. So what I mean, like we are talking about public infrastructure. Dr. Sharat Babu also mentioned about all those infrastructure, and same was by Prasanna. So out of all the infrastructure, all are not digital infrastructure actually. All public infrastructure are not digital, like your roads, highway, your trains. So there are so many things, type of infrastructure. But one type of infrastructure which where Web3 can play a role, and where I want to basically concentrate is the digital infrastructure and digital public infrastructure. And by using Web3, we can make it virtualized digital public infrastructure, virtualization. And virtualization have a lot of advantages, as you can see also. So what will happen is the digital infrastructure, if we can virtualize it by use of Web3 and make it publicly owned. Publicly owned means everyone who contributes is the owner. There is no central controlling authority, or no central ownership is there actually. So that is what. So how it will happen? Actually, our honorable minister Rajiv Chandrasekhar ji have been talking about the critical digital infrastructure, and he has laid down 5 requirements for that. One is open, second is democratized, third is secured, fourth is trusted, and fifth is accountable. So if you want to achieve all 5 things for the digital infrastructure, you have to use all the technologies, including Web3. Actually, there are 2-3 technologies which have been mentioned. Blockchain is just one of them. And blockchain brings the trust part, bring the decentralization, bring the efficiency. All those things are done by blockchain. But then that is not enough. Then there is a IPv6 which is used actually. IPv6, you will know that it brings the infinite number of addresses. So peer-to-peer communication can be enabled only by use of IPv6, not the current internet. In addition to that, how you make a digital infrastructure secured, because security is always a casualty when you talk of anything open, when you talk of anything digital, when you talk of anything virtual, so the security will be a casualty. Then how you handle it? So it is handled through some parameters of IPv6. There is an enhanced security payload. There is a authentication header. So you use the cryptography, what is used in blockchain also, in the addressing itself, IPv6, and you can make it secure actually. So all these things are required. So what will happen now? Now, what is my concept of these digital public good, not the infrastructure? Good means it is owned by everyone, owned by the society. So there is a concept called blockchain cooperative, which is also called DAO in blockchain. So there is no single owner. It is just autonomous, owned by the society, owned by the people at large. So that is what I mean by a public good. The public good means it is available to everyone. So the openness comes there. It is based on plug and play. Then it is ubiquitous actually. In the sixth division of the government, they want you. Earlier it used to be any broadband for everyone at any time, but now it is not only for everyone and any time, but at any place. That was missing any place actually, and that comes through ubiquity. So that is what can happen if you use blockchain for decentralization it, and also making everything a stakeholder actually. Like they call about internet. Who owns the internet? Everyone owns the internet. Same thing can happen with the digital public infrastructure. So it has to be virtualized also. Virtualized means that you have to make use of the existing infrastructure. Whatever is there, you just improve upon that. Don't recreate everything. If you start recreating everything, you will never achieve the objective. But if you virtualize what you have, today, let us say you have analog infrastructure. You want to make it digital. So the analog, you convert it to digital, not create a new digital. And from digital, you want to virtualize, you want to make it transparent, you want to make it, you upgrade it to IPv6, all these things. So, and then you have to tokenize also. That is what is the learning from blockchain. Tokenize means that it is registered somewhere, and it is the ownership is ensured through issue of a token. So that means if you contribute something to the infrastructure, so you are issued some token and your part is tokenized, and these NFTs also there, all these things. So tokenizing, and then peer-to-peer communication. So all these things, if we can add to our digital infrastructure, so then it will become a virtual digital public good. And once that is done, that you would have achieved all kind of efficiencies what blockchain or Web3 can bring, all type of trust also, because when you talk of trust, it is blockchain. Nothing else can do trust. Yesterday in the movie of that, there was a Salman Khan movie, we were there. A big message was given that what you should trust actually. So the message was what we call, our PM also talks about zero trust. The message is you trust only your trust, trusting the trust, and that is what can happen through blockchain. So I think with that, today I'll stop. Already we are running late, but I wanted to bring this message that how Web3 can help in this part of the infrastructure, the digital infrastructure, to make it virtualized and also open access and in the form of a public good. Thank you very much, Dr. Shiv.
Thank you very much, sir. It was a really impactful, very precise talk from you on the digital public goods, and you brought the marriage of the, that blockchain, and you got the IPv6 and keeping the into the security into the area. So that was really good point you have made, that how peer-to-peer communication of the IPv6 and the trust, efficiency, decentralization, immutability of the blockchain, how it can bring, and public goods infrastructure. It's really one of the great topic. You rightly said that tokenization is very key, which blockchain got into this. And thank you very much, sir. It was really very, very sweet and very crisp talk from you, and very meaningful, sir. Thank you. We appreciate, sir. Now,
Thank you.
now I'll request Kamlesh, the similar talk from you I'm expecting. Kamlesh, that he's very good on the, he has been in the TEDx, he is a TEDx speaker, so he know how to make impact, and he's going to bring the another angle to this talk. He's a CTO of the Center for Future Tech, one of the Hyperledger expert. He's the India co-chair, one of the influencer of the blockchain, Hyperledger especially. He's also member of the PARI, the Blockchain's Center of Excellence, and the STPI under the MIT. Thank you, Kamlesh. I'm looking forward to a great talk from you in a TEDx style, or you will be talking in a normal style. Anyway, platform is yours.
I'm talking normal.
Platform is yours. So,
thank you, Dr. Shiv and Akhil, and it's great to be here. And I think already Dr. Chandra and Prasanna, Lohar and Satya talked about what is Web3 and how it is going to be change how the government and public infrastructure should be built. So I also don't have a presentation, but I have some thoughts which I would like to share. So I think when blockchain started, Web3 started, it was a focus on the public blockchain kind of thing. And now I think public infrastructure is become the biggest use case in blockchain. So because in the efficiency, in the transparency perspective, we need the more transparent government and the e-governance segment. So Web3 and blockchain is very critical technologies to bring the trust and transparency and security or the efficiency in the system. So how it will impact our government services? So one is the decentralized governance. So like currently all the government or all the project or anything we execute in the government segment, it already centralized or some kind of need to be run by central authorities. So but because we are building an infrastructure for public, so bringing the public communities or some kind of shared infrastructure or which is reduce the potential corruption or kind of bring the accountability on the system. Another thing, like currently even is a very active from long term about P2P or triple P, public to private partnership model in the executing the any government or any public project. So how the blockchain could be used for this kind of scenario. So I think any project or any token could be tokenized. And suppose you're doing some kind of rail projects, so you could tokenize the rail project and bring the kind of Web3 based kind of funding from the public domain instead of just only any company and government. So this is another kind of use cases I think would be impactful. A smart contract or automation, I think we may have discussed about the, let's say, railway or maybe airlines about the insurance or maybe agriculture or government provides a kind of subsidy. So all this could be automated using a smart contract, and predefined conditions will be executed on predefined methods, and which is very important, especially for providing subsidies or citizen services to the people who are remote areas or people who are not up to their economy condition. Another kind of involving the community ownership and empowerment using the blockchain-based system, kind of, let's say, public transportation system or maybe renewable energy. So, like for example, renewable energy is not tradable in India because because it's only managed by some central energy segment. But let's suppose if in India anybody can generate energy or maybe share the extra energy with someone else. So some kind of trading platform could be created. I think other countries is feasible. You could trade your extra energy to some other maybe any grid. And most active and required use is about the digital identity. Even in India, we have a Aadhaar or kind of identity, but it's still that is centralized and still the zero knowledge proof or maybe something is missing. So using blockchain could be created the digital identity based on blockchain for selective disclosure, or maybe you can provide the services based on the Web3 ecosystem of digital identity. So there are many such use cases. So I think digital identity, and I think another one is CBDC, going to be the largest blockchain infrastructure, Web3 infrastructure on public. And I think third, I think no one talking about is the climate change, circular economy, or ESG. So keeping in mind G20 and the target about by 2050, you need to meet net zero. So bringing climate action, circular economy, or ESG related goals, or recycling processes, bringing all the stakeholders from Pollution Control Board to the government and regulator, or the recyclers, or the aggregator could become on the common public infrastructure. And actually we are currently working with IFSCA for the similar kind of project to even be recently got the approval. So kind of how we could use the technology, public infrastructure to enable the climate change or carbon accounting or any kind of sustainable or green finance. So these are the use cases. I think if you see the global adoption, so I see especially keep aside the Estonia or other where we talking about the Bitcoin and public or kind of cryptocurrency, but we can take example of Dubai. Dubai's the Silk Road project, or Dubai's paperless strategy by 2030 to use the blockchain and Web3 infrastructure to provide the completely digital services. Another which is very active is British Columbia. So British Columbia have a hyperledger Indibase, their digital identity infrastructure, e-governance services. We see live in production from a couple of years, but I think nobody talked about it. So I think that is very interesting, because currently in the British Columbia, mostly e-governance projects or even the approval to the businesses is given on the digital identity based on the hyperledger in British Columbia. Third project, I think, which is very active is the EBS, the European Blockchain Services Infrastructure. So they are building the blockchain-based infrastructure like how the India stated their national blockchain strategy. So they're already in implementation from a couple of years, and they're keeping the different use cases and the infrastructure keeping in mind. And I think another one is China's BSN network. The similar thing, kind of there are multiple technology or use cases related to the infrastructure. And similar way in India, couple of states like Telangana, West Bengal, Tamil Nadu is building the state level infrastructure for different use cases, land registry, e-governance, certificate issues and verification. And NIC or CDEC or a couple of government institutions are working on creating the national blockchain infrastructure, which is stated in the national blockchain strategy last year. So it's already in place, and you can see the top chain. You can see the I think the shipping chain on some of the NIC website. There are thousands of already blocks created and people are using it. So. But I see the most potential in the CBDC kind of infrastructure, which is I think almost every country is exploring and building something. You can see the CBDC tracker where more than 14 plus countries are already live in production. You can talk about the Bank of Cambodia. You can talk about the China, and in India also be piloting the CBDC. So CBDC is going to be our largest infrastructure for the fintech or the payment or maybe business. So even like NPCI is also working on their project called IDFP. I think is aware is India's decentralized finance platform. So they are building the financial platform not just for the financial application, but it could be open. It will be open for all other infrastructure. So there is a NIC is working on similar kind of thing. There is a NPCI working, and there are similar different countries are exploring. So I believe like Web3 and blockchain is going to be mostly used in the public blockchain, public infrastructure efficiency, and creating new kind of use cases like how public blockchain used for the normal our application deployed on some kind of shared infrastructure. This similar could be going to be happen for the state level or country level, or maybe some kind of G20 level, or maybe like EBSI or the European blockchain infrastructure. So there's a lots of potential in the technology. It is going to be. So that's all from my side. So thank you, Steve and Akhil, for inviting.
Thank you, Mr. Kamlesh. Very precise talk you have given on the impact on the government services in the decentralized government. Also, it was touched about the sustainable green finances, the e-governance services, and how the Estonia, in addition to Estonia, British Columbia, European. You gave the good examples of the global developments. Thank you, Kamlesh. Now I will introduce Srishti. Srishti, get ready. I will just 1 minute. Srishti Assudani, the Chief Business Officer, CBO of the P2P Labs, with almost 2 decades of experience as a technology sales leader and entrepreneur. She has a deep knowledge of the track record of the proven track record in the domain of technology, consulting, business architecture designs, implementing experience of large and complex change programs comprising of multifunctional and multidisciplinary teams. She got educated in the computer engineering degree. After that, she did the executive management program from IIM Bangalore and DEFI from the Frankfurt School of the Finance and Management. Thank you, Srishti. Floor is yours. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Shiv, and thank you, Dr. Akhil, for inviting. It's been a great session today. I think we've got great insights from the previous speakers, starting with Mr. Sarat and then Prasanna elaborating on the whole larger landscape of where the government is with digitization and how actually blockchain can help create an impact on the ecosystem. And then, of course, largely, most of the things have been covered with Dr. Satya and Kamlesh also talking about different projects and other angles of it. I think what I'd like to add quickly here is going to be more of, in addition to what, Prasanna was also mentioning, that it's going to be more of the use cases rather than the technology. And that's where governments are actually moving, where we are now not only having discussions on pilots or POCs, but there are actual production rollouts happening across governments and across nations. So when we talk about public sector, essentially, we can see the technology when we talk about blockchain. Of course, another angle that I'd like to reiterate here, what Prasanna has already mentioned, that we need to see the technology as a part of the whole architecture for any application, where blockchain would be the back-end part of it, facilitating the transparency and more of removal of intermediary and removing frictions. But how do we actually see the blockchain being used in the public sector would essentially be in 3 sectors. I'm not put more of CBDC here, but within the government, how we can actually see this is one is within the cities, the connected cities can enable a security and trust, enable a circular economy, and then, of course, an efficient usage of resources. So I'll quickly skip through the use cases because we've largely discussed them previously, but this would just give an insight of, how actually we can make the systems more secure and more efficient with respect to reducing the frictions. So one is, of course, enabling a secure IoT infrastructure because currently, even across sectors, I mean, it's not limited to industries. There's a large deployment of IoT being used to map the operations, whether it's in the manufacturing or in the automotive or it's in the energy power. The data is being aggregated through IoT, and there is a lot of assimilation and analytics being done. If the same is being recorded on a peer-to-peer network, of course, the single point of failures can be looked into. There can be a peer-to-peer network, and this can also enable a marketplace where this data can actually be leveraged across sectors. And then, of course, the election results, which we've already spoken, that using the technology, we can have a much more efficient and a trusted election voting system. That's there. And then on a traceability point, which is very, very important, because across the upstream in the supply chains, we see a lot of we see a lot of things happening where across the silos in the supply chain, there is not transparency, and the certifications as well as the quality checks are not synchronized. So if that can be, you know, transparent, and the ecosystem can be mapped in a peer-to-peer network, I think the collaboration can be much more smoother, and the benefits can be seen to the end customers, including the government and the states involved in that. And then of course, digital identities, which we've already touched before, is when we be able to use verifiable credentials and self-sovereign identities. I think these would actually add to the existing infrastructures that we're using, whether we are using Aadhaar in India or any other, where I think the privacy factor would also be looked into while using these technologies. And then, like we said, of course, and the energy market, while there is a primary source, there is also secondary source of energy which are available. So using the technology, I think, and this has been done, one of the use cases has been done in Uttar Pradesh, and we're also in discussion with some of the leading states in India, where we are trying to enable a peer-to-peer energy marketplace. And again, this is like, I think Kamlesh had mentioned that these are at levels of POC because of certain compliances and regulations that needs to be streamlined, that these initiatives are not being taken at production rollout level. And of course, shared mobility infrastructure. This is one of the biggest use cases in smart cities, where certain work is being done in Europe, as well as lots of work is being done in this regard in Dubai also, where, you know, the electric vehicles as well as the green energy, all these can be automated, payments can be automated, and the network can be collaborated using a DLT infrastructure. That would be one part of it. And second, of course, an incentivization can be done, where you can enable a token economy in this. So a programmable logic can be applied to using of utilization of the smart city infrastructures. And then again, you know, this technology can, of course, bring transparency in the subsidies, which is there. So any kind of subsidies which are being distributed by the government, we can enable a transparency. Recently, I was also talking in one of the forums where they shared that the World Food Program actually has used the blockchain technology. They've used a permission network and to enable a transparency in the subsidy distributed among the different beneficiaries. So that's a very, very good use case which governments can actually use, because I think there would be much better insight into how the things are being done. And I think looking at that, of course, the later initiatives can be optimized. And then of course, more on a circular economy basis, where a tokenization, of course, these are again limited here in India because of the token economy not being able to implement. But we are aware that in Europe as well as in London, we have regulations available for the tokens as well as crypto users. So once I think that's formalized, there can be other use cases of tokenization which can help in the conservation efforts, where we can also actually talk to people in the forest who are actually leading them, give them some initiatives of NFT, so that we get information of the actual work being done over there. And of course, the land registry and the tokenization. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Srishti. Great talk. You talked about how the security infrastructure can be built up using the blockchain, the energy market, collaborative network can be done, then transparency in the distribution system, including the maybe the food supply chain or in the different type of subsidies the government can use the e-governance, circular economy using the tokenization. A wonderful talk, Srishti. You have touched a lot of use cases, the practical use cases. You brought the practical angle into it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shiv.
The next we will have is, 1 second, sir. 1 second, my file got closed, just a minute. Before if I see any other speaker before our last, then now we can have the Nikhil. Nikhil, you are there? Nikhil? Nikhil?
I'm calling him, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. In the meantime, I'll introduce Nikhil Goyal. He is the CEO and the founder of the Beyond Imagination Technologies. Goyal is a seasoned entrepreneur and technology enthusiast. His fascination with blockchain technology and unwavering passion to explore its endless possibilities. He has been driving force behind the work at Beyond Imagination. He's making a lot of POCs with the defense and with the different government, with the railways. So he's a very proactive, very entrepreneur and moving very fast in the space. Thank you, Nikhil. Welcome to you. And I'm expecting a very vibrant and precise talk from you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for your introduction. I'm sure I don't carry as much accolades as the eminent speakers that we have today, but it's a matter of I'm humbled to be amongst such personalities. I did not want to prepare a presentation because I am going to touch upon a very specific subject, which probably has an effect in multiple sectors. Actually, while you were calling me, I was just wrapping up a call with Punjab University right now. Everybody today is feeling the heat of fake documents, non-verified information, identity theft, and overall a scenario of you don't know what to believe, even papers. I'm talking of papers. Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining. I saw we were 65. We are 55 now. This shows that there is great interest of blockchain in the public space, and for organizers like Akhil sir, it's the kind of work you guys are doing is fantastic. So my subject today I want to catch upon is fake documents, identity theft, a scenario where we are not sure of what people to believe in. And if you want to be sure, it's so funny, you have to either self-attest your own documents, or you have to get a notary done, or you have to prove yourself that it is right. In different scenarios, let's take a scenario of education, of hiring for after education. If you are a pass out from even IIT and Deloitte wants to hire you, Deloitte wants to go back to IIT to check if you have actually passed out from that college or not, and if you passed out with the CGPA or mark sheet that you claim. It's a headache. It's tedious. It's cumbersome. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of money. Why should we be doing this? And we are 194 nations, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not talking of India only. Why should someone who is a great pass out from India have a difficult time getting a job in Dubai or Budapest or interrelate or vice versa? The idea what we claim is gonna take center stage going forward is something that we are trying to do. We are trying to create an ecosystem of verified documents and human credentials for the world to use, where if a person in Nigeria has a particular skill set that he passes out with and has already used that skill set in a company, that particular document should be easily verifiable for getting a job in Saudi Arabia. In India itself, it's so large. 2 months back, there was an article which said that Accenture had to throw out their employees because of they found that they had fake experience certificates. Come on. Accenture is right up here in our eyes in terms of how technology is used for hiring. They are getting duped. There was an article a few months back where they said there was this guy who got funded who claimed to be an IIT and IIM, and during the due diligence they got to know that he's actually not. So funny. In Indian Railways, ladies and gentlemen, there's a tendering process that happens where within minutes, a 10 rupee against a 10.5 rupee comparison is done. But it takes 15 to 25 days to verify the documents that that contractor has given to the railways. And you know what? He's actually given back the same documents that he got from the railways in terms of completion certificate of projects. But Indian Railways then from a centralized manner goes down to the particular railway stations or where the work is done to cross-check if this certificate that was given to an ex-contractor is right. Imagine within an organization there is levels of verification that is happening. And why can we not use blockchain technology to solve this? This is the beauty, and this is what we feel is going to be a very large solution from a public welfare point of view that can be used. 1 second. So sorry. Guys, you guys are unbelievable, yeah. I'm so sorry.
No issue.
Yeah. So the idea is I think a lot of us, Srishti, Kamlesh, Prasanna, Dr. Gupta, in the beginning, Sarat, Babu, all have discussed how blockchain can be used from a public enhancement point of view. Right now, I just got done with the call with the Punjab University, which is actually looking at how we could bring about from an admission to an admit card to the examination, to results for the examination, to verified digital credentials, all on because they want transparency of data. They want to in some way reduce the malicious activities that possibly can happen. They want these kids to go around the world and not face problems in terms of paperwork. Imagine this large solution comes into the education world of public welfare. This is just one concept. Medical passports. We are talking about digitizing medical activities, medical histories, a journey map of an individual from a medical standpoint. There is close to 15.5 million people who die every year because they are diagnosed in a manner due to lack of old information of that particular human. If we can create a medical passport for a human, where all the medical activities in a verified manner can be brought together in your digital wallet. Wow. And this is something that is required. This is something that is being done. It is all we are adding. And I would not like to say only me. All of us have been loud and clear. I'm just echoing everybody else's voice. that we need to have it in an ecosystem manner, in a verified manner. That's precisely what we feel is the solution. Um, from a banking standpoint, there is so many scams that happen because of fake documents. There is so many scams that happen because of mm, people getting together, not really worrying about the authentication of the documentation, agreements, invoices, trade finance, LCs, discounting of bills. All of this is so interrelated and is so revolving around only and only one thing, which is fake documents. Again, something that we can help with blockchain. We can help categorize or smoothen that whole journey. All I'm trying to say is with the help of blockchain, if we only and only concentrate, I'm trying to concentrate on handling the large issue of fake documents. There is so much efficiency, so much productivity that we can provide in the whole running of the show. Again, from a eagle eye standpoint, all I care about is national wealth. Even if we can provide a percentage of productivity more from with the use of a new technology, a revolutionary technology like blockchain, I think India will have India and the world will have better systems. Will save a lot of money. Will save a lot of man hours, which is very important today. And we can be a more transparent, a more relevant, and a more true. I mean, the scammers will find enough ways to scam us, but at least places where we can plug the gaps, we should all try to do that. So yeah, I think that's what I wanted to say. That there's a large problem on us. Let's acknowledge it. Let's recognize it. Let's use blockchain to solve it, and we'll face more problems in the future, which we will try and solve together again. Thank you so much for your time. Again, humbled to be here in the presence of such eminent personalities of the blockchain world. Thank you so much, Dr. Shiv.
Thank you, Nikhil. Thank you, and all the best for your BitMoe, the fake document identification, implementation, identity theft, the certification product which you have come up, which I have also used. So it's very impressive. I can witness that. And thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, a Celebrity 40 Under 40 Supply Chain Achievers Award in 2021. And who has created innovative metaverse classroom experience for the students, working on a public-private partnership. Postgraduate from the technology management from IIT Delhi. Also PhD from who has been awarded recently the PhD. A degree in competition law from National Law University Delhi. I'm talking about the Dr. Professor Akhil Damodaran, who has a really strong background in the telecom, IT, aviation, who is a professor, cluster head for the business in UPS. Thank you, Akhil. Welcome. Unmute yourself and please, yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. So I think most of the panelists have already given their share of views of Web3. So I will not take much of a time. I'll directly go towards PPP, and I'll try to make it as quick as possible. I'm just sharing my presentation. So the presentation is visible, sir, to all?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So let me put it this way. Everybody has discussed about Web3 and blockchain and all the technologies, how they are going to impact the private sector, public sector, and how there's a huge use case for the public sector management in terms of Web3. But there's 2-3 things which you have to keep in mind. See, let me take a use case of public-private partnership, because this is a research area for the last 4 to 5 years we're doing it. public-private partnership is one of the most key element in the public sector infrastructure. Okay, where the public and private come together for a public project. Okay. Now, if you look at the market valuation in India at this moment, the PPP will be almost $300 billion plus. In spite of that, you won't find many players in the PPP market. Okay. Currently, when we're talking about PPP, we have more than 1,000 plus projects already been approved by Government of India, and still most of these projects are still under process or yet to start, or there may be other 200 things as a challenge. You only see those projects where there are very big players like airports or road and highways, where the execution is still very smooth because of the experience of the players who are part of this particular PPP contract. Now, what generally are the challenges in a PPP? The point is, the reason why the intent of a PPP project is to make sure that you get the best in class service in the public sector infrastructure. And public sector infrastructure doesn't only mean airport or defense. It is railway, public transport, or public infrastructure for the people, or rural infrastructure. They all come under public private partnership. But problem here is, if you have a very bigger project, you have a monopoly of the service provider. Okay, because they negotiate the money, they negotiate everything out, and it's very difficult for the government to monitor these situations. The one very important challenge in PPP is lack of information, because in PPP there are many stakeholders who are involved. I mean, from the tendering time to the project assigning, from the project implementation timeline to execution to operation. In a normal BOT, if you look at build, operate, transfer project, there are many stakeholders are involved. There are many subcontractors are involved. So for a government to monitor what is the transaction happening on the ground, they generally depend on the SPVs. But generally what happens is, to cumulatively understand what is these transactions which are happening around, what is the documentation which is happening, and what is the information flowing around in PPP, is a really massive task. And that's the reason regulator always force in the PPP, and that's the reason very few player enters the PPP, because there are a lot of challenges in the regulatory part. Transaction records, lack of involvement of the customers in it, complicated structure. I mean, these are the major issues in PPP. And last but not the least, what is the price being put up on the customer when it comes to, let's say, toll highway or the airports and everything? Because all this cost which the operator puts up, it directly boils down to the customer. And whether they are right or not, they are annually, the regulator, the government has to keep monitoring it. So what we feel is the smart contract is the answer. Now, this is not something which we have said. Everybody says the same thing, that smart contract can't really do the needful. Why? Because first of all, it can self-execute. Secondly, most of the conditions which are put on the PPP contract, you can self-execute it. You can put up with a timeline. It is immutable completely, and because of which, the biggest advantage is not the execution, but the biggest advantage is you don't need too many third parties to keep the execution of the contract, because smart contract can take care of it. It can improve its efficiency, speed, accuracy. It has trust and transparency. All this has already been discussed with all the panelists before. So what is the challenge? Even if you talk about the smart contracts can use and help out in terms of the PPP, but what is the actual challenge? The actual challenge is very few people understand exactly how to convert this PPP into smart contracts. I mean, it's very easy for me to say that the blockchain can really help the PPP, or blockchain can really help the PPP to become much more smooth in execution, because smart contract can help. But how many people can convert those into smart contracts? I mean, that is where the whole challenge is. So if you look at the advantage of smart contract, obviously it can remove third party, as I said, but you should understand how the regulatory pricing is set up. You should understand what are the government conditions on the bidding. You should understand how the PPP ledger actually works. I mean, how the calculation of the formulas and everything works out. And then comes the smart contract and blockchain and the blockchain's application. So it is an integration of PPP experts. That's what we understood from our case study. It's an integration of PPP experts and blockchain experts. They both have to integrate to understand how the PPP works. So what is the current challenge? For a blockchain company, the biggest challenge is what to convert to smart contract. I mean, they doesn't know how to understand the PPP contract, first of all. And secondly, they have no clue regarding the pricing or revenue share and all those things, which are complicated structure, which are part of the PPP contract. And these pricings and revenue share, all these things are based on economical principles laid down by different authors 20, 30 years back. So it's not just a government who's just trying to put up a particular formula that has already been measured in a certain way. So how we did it? So what we did was, first of all, we took each and every stage of PPP. So in the first stage, the bidding stage. So we created a mathematical bidding algorithm on how 3 or 4 players are trying to bid for an airport or any entity for that matter. We are just giving an example of an airport. Once my equation works well and we are able to get the output that who should be the winner as per the conditions given by the government, we were able to convert that into smart contracts. The point I'm trying to make to everyone here is that the blockchain or the smart contract can only work in a public use case when the structure of public sector can be broken down into more meaningful mathematical ways so that the smart contracts can understand or the blockchain can understand. Then it just becomes a blockchain play. I mean, it's not a problem of whether this can be executed or not. If you are able to, first of all, convert this into a more meaningful expressions which can be verified, and moreover, this particular formula which we are talking about, it is already published in journals. We have already validated this particular situation. Now converting into smart contract, it's not a bigger issue then, because now the codes are everything done. Same, if you look at it, we have done the toll road pricing. Now bidding, there's an operation, and that's the execution. In execution, there are customers who are billing is done. This billing is done on the capital which is employed on it, employed on the construction of toll roads. The duration of the construction and the projected passenger cost, and accordingly there's a price cap regulation which the government puts up, and accordingly the formula is created. It's not just a small financial formula. So when we completed that on a mathematical ground, and we were able to create the right pricing, what exactly looks like on the book of the regulator, we were able to convert that into smart contracts. Now, for me, it's very easy to see the portal complete on a PPP ground on a smart contract, and each and every transaction is moving exactly on the principle on which the government has put up each and every algorithm. That's exactly why they needed a lot of stakeholders to manage these contracts, because somebody will be from legal side, somebody from the economic side, somebody from the contractor side, somebody from the builder side, to understand each and every integrity of it. So if we are able to consolidate that and we are able to create an expression on which the smart contract can be created, we can substantially reduce the third parties which are required in PPP. And then when we started putting on the smart contracts on the portal, we realized that we are able to automate the PPP situations. And if you look at these things, how many things we can actually work on? First of all, bidding becomes completely automated, completely trustworthy, immutable completely, because it's on blockchain. And the formula on which we are putting it is already validated by the academic as well as other communities. We can have completely decentralized record of transactions of the stakeholders, and we can also monitor the conditions which are put on the contract. For example, 90% of the PPP contract is based on revenue share agreement, and these revenue share agreements have certain loops and holes. Certain if and what conditions on it. So these things, when we are converting into a mathematical expression, smart contract becomes much more easy. The transaction record and the wallet, how they should have the revenue share agreement, becomes much more easy. Meeting the quality standards. I mean, how on the ground the customers can give the feedback on each and every project, and accordingly the smart contract can see whether the payment should be released to the contractor for the next phase or not. Calculation of the prices on the customer. I gave you the example right now, how the pricing calculation has been done. So if we were able to convert that into the mathematical expression and then into smart contracts, and this cumulatively is what the PPP portal Elteridium is all about. I mean, how to make sure that we can completely decentralize the PPP ecosystem, making it much more smoother, efficient, but more importantly, a cost saving. I mean, obviously the market size is much larger, But there are a lot of waste of money happens inside PPP. That's the reason only larger players work on it. They don't. The small players doesn't have the efficiency or the capacity to run these PPP projects. We can actually try to reduce those things very easily, and that's exactly what the Elteridium is all about. So, what is the engine of Elteridium? If you look at it, we have progressed on investment management. We are able to give the certificate of ownership to each and every person who is putting money in, for the PPP. The bidding management, which I showed it before, voting of the project, whether the project is going well or not, and accordingly the payments can be blocked or released. The access to the reports to people, transaction management, regulatory pricing. In a sense, regulators right now needs to go each and every door to get the report of exactly how the PPP is monitored. And that's the reason, if you look at the rural infrastructure, PPPs are not working well because the regulator, the government doesn't have the access to understand exactly what is happening on the ground. So here what happens is, because the transaction is completely based on the PPP regulation and it's completely on blockchain, the ledger record is completely confined inside the portal. The regulator can see exactly what is happening with the money, how much the money has been utilized and what is the investment track and how the investment is going to the bottom. And because the public has the access, now public can give the feedback of each and every scenario. So this is exactly what the Elteridium is all about. So we are converting it into a complete portal on PPP. Very soon we'll be releasing it. Thank you so much, Shiv sir, for your opportunity for this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Akhil. You have put the whole, giving the practical angle and the number of variables. I believe there are more than 75 variables, the different parameters which basically work for the any PPP model. And being the so complex, there is a reports that a very high number of the PPP fails. So I'm sure this type of efforts which you are putting for the 4 to 5 years in the space of the using the blockchain for the PPP models, I think it will bear the fruits in the complexity of the legal, economic, and the engineering, contractors, subcontractors, the regulator. I'm sure the monitoring of the various conditions, the quality assurance, pricing calculation, this all the complexity. Converting into the mathematical expressions, this will certainly help. Thank you very much. This brings the end of our today's session. The feedback mechanism, I think Google form or the feedback mechanism will be provided by the Professor Akhil. And I'm sure all of you enjoyed the talk, the efforts which has been put, the experts tried their best. All the experts has come up with a different, basically flavor of the talks. Slowly bringing it to the PPP model, which was the basically main aim of how the Web3 or the blockchain, the metaverse, all this integration of all this can help into the public-private partnership. With this, I would like to thank each and every speaker, each and every audience, those who have been listening very patiently. And with this, I'll request some of the questions may come from the audience. Akhil, do we have the provision to so that they can switch on their camera also? Professor Akhil?
Sir, audience cannot open their camera because
mic. They can open their mic.
They were. I think they can only use the Q&A as per setting of the webinar. They can only use the Q&A, and I think they are using the Q&A. There are a lot of questions happening in Q&A already.
Okay,
if any of the speaker wants to answer, they can answer it.
Can the speakers, you will take one by one, or should we put the questions to you? Dear speakers, can you take, some of you can take the questions?
Yeah, so I think the first question, let me put it for, I think, Prasanna sir as well. I mean, Prasanna sir, anybody can give the answer, but the question is CBDC by RBI with Digital Rupee India joins the select group of nations. However, do you think that like China, we may go for full control way of all transactions? So this question, I think, is answered by Kamlesh already. I think.
Please go ahead,
Mr.
Professor
Chakravarti.
Akhil.
Yeah, I think
If
I
you can reply.
have put up his question directly to him.
If he's not there, you can do that, sir.
Yeah. So let me put the question here. I mean the answer here. CBDC by RBI with digital rupee India joins a select group of nations. However, do you think that like China, we may have the full control way of all transactions? So I would say no to the answer, that we may not have, we may not like intend to go for full control way of all transactions. That's not the intent behind the digital rupee. That's one thing. And secondly, we are currently in an experimental stage of CBDCs as well. So I mean, I don't think so that the intent is like China to get a full control of the transactions which is happening across the country. That's not the complete intention of CBDC, but it will also it may make the system more efficient. Like for example, foreign transactions and everything, the fee will be much more reduced for you. And because now banks are not required to maintain the ledger because CBDC can automatically do that. I mean, there are a lot of efficiency which becomes part of it, but may not be the chance that they want to go full China way. That's not the point. So I think Devashish Bhattacharya want to ask a question. Devashish, if you want to add, you can add the question here directly.
Also, one question is pending from Mr. Dua.
I think this is a question or explanation. If everyone has talked about dissemination and thus the efficiency DLT brings to the table because of that. For this, picking and choosing element like tokenization, smart contract, etc., can be adopted into existing enterprise solutions. How do blockchain with all their inherent inefficiency in maintaining multiple nodes and trying to reach a consensus make sense unless the focus is on decentralization? Enterprise blockchain solution don't even have decentralization on their agenda because everything is permission. I think he is given an information, not the question, I think. So, Devashish, you have a point, please, you can write.
Devashish, can you please type your question? He's there, he's raising his hand, so.
I think he left the chat, I guess, I don't know. I'm just waiting for it.
Hello? Hello?
Devashish, you can open your mic if you want to. Devashish, I think he's there in the list, but I think he is not responding.
Okay. Anyone
Can I open
who would like to?
I think Devashish is saying no.
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay, so my question actually is directed to Dr. Prasanna and maybe Dr. Sarat and Babu. It is about the move by various governments across the world to balkanize the internet. Now, we understand that data sharing is a very key aspect of whether you call it Web 3.0 or whether it is AI or cross-border data flow and free flow is a very key aspect for the proliferation of these technologies and for proper utilization of these technologies. So if the governments actually through various methods try and block data flow from one country to the other country for obvious reasons of security and for keeping data hegemony or sort of having data sovereignty over their respective data. So in such situations, how do you see technologies such as Web 3.0 maybe and other new technologies which are in the horizon, how will they proliferate in such a scenario? What should governments do, and what is your advice to the governments in terms of policy and regulation that they must do to be able to ensure that the future of Web 3.0, the metaverse, the AI, etc., these technologies should not get truncated by virtue of the fact that the governments don't want to share data with each other. That's my question. Thank you. Was I audible?
Prasanna sir? Let me check.
Yeah,
he's unmute. He's unmute.
Yeah.
He's unmute now. He's unmute now. Prasanna sir is answering. Yes.
Yeah, please.
Can you repeat, because some call came, so it was distraction on the internet. So
okay, I will repeat.
And just briefly, if you can say, then we can.
Yeah. So the question is that data sharing, cross-border data flow, in my opinion, is a very key aspect for proliferation of technologies such as Web 3.0, metaverse, AI, and other technologies, future technologies. Given the fact that today many governments, and we are also one of them, and I would not bat an eyelid in saying that these are being discussed, that we don't like, or we would not want data sharing to be done in an open manner with every other country in the world. And we would have our own boundaries or regimes under which we will share data. So given such a scenario, that we are loath to sharing data with other countries, and likewise other countries will do the same, because this is reciprocal in nature. How do you see the growth of futuristic technologies like Web 3.0 getting impacted? And if there is an impact, what would be your advice to the government on the policy and regulatory front to be able to ensure that the growth of these technologies are enhanced going forward in future?
I think I'll try my best to answer the things. Okay. So usually what we have seen, right? So technology was always there. Technology is there. Technology is going to be there, right? But every regulation is driven by a use case or a business case where a customer is involved, his data is involved, and how multiple stakeholders are involved, how the process is going to take your data from one endpoint to another endpoint. So it was always happening in the past also. For example, it was happening on mobile banking or internet banking, the way we have provided these services to almost all customers of banks, right? Now, based upon use case to use case, we will really look at these technologies, how these technologies are taking care of these aspects. Example, let's go back when mobile banking came in our life, right? Which was on Web 2.0 back in 2002, 2005, where most of the banks started implementing these. And today, almost everybody is on mobile banking. And the way software is there that moment, Android or iOS, right, which came in after 2008-9, right? And we could see surge of actual smart mobile banking, which earlier was a SMS or based upon technology, sir, we always look at how this technology safeguards the data, how it moves the data. So I think more or less, we will never come up with any regulation on technology or on metaverse or on blockchain or on AI. Regulation and control will come and say, based upon a standard guidelines to take care of a customer and his data privacy and many more others, is it really happening or not happening in that boundary of a technology? Example, DPSC, which is Digital Payment Security Control, which came in 2020 February, after 10, 12 years of a mobile banking or internet banking. How it came? Based upon various inputs by banks, the way frauds has happened over a period of time, right? So while we had standards like payment control, PCI control, or there are many more other standards, which typically every bank or every organization or a government looks at, this should follow the standard. How transactions should happen, how transactions should take care of all the endpoints, the applications within a bank or within any data center where these services are providing. So there are standards which are already available in case of a payment or any of those web applications, OW guidelines and so on, and specific to industry. Say example, today we bring on metaverse banking, right? Or a cross-border payment or a CBDC. So while we handhold the technology, we will always handhold these regulatory guidelines and so on. So what we are controlling, where we are bringing regulation on the use cases. Say example, when I'm sending money through a CBDC of India, e-rupee to another person, which is in Singapore. Today in Web2, we use UPI, for example. So UPI is always having its own guideline and so on. So it doesn't, it might have implemented on some Oracle or some app server like WebSphere and so on. So technology will be never a bar for any regulation. Why regulations, controls will come based upon how these technologies are behaving in that use case. Are these technologies behaving positive or negative based upon various factors like data control, data privacy, whether it's easy for hackers to hack the data, or how the scalability is going to happen, how interoperability between two systems, like one country to another country, how it will happen, and so on. Right? I think that's how it brings on the, so I think more or less regulations will be on the use cases, not on a technology. Now, how technology will behave, that's how we move ahead. Another example we could see cloud, right? So cloud was always there since early 2004-5. But if you see these days, the way communication and bandwidth, broadband had increased after Geo or after 2016-17, you could see that those big days on Flipkart, or if you could see how the surge of users or viewers are happening on Hotstars or these days Geo Cinemas. So we have to be on a cloud. We cannot elongate your hardware infra the way we have built back in early 2000 or 2005. So what now? Suppose we know that's a benefit and advantage using cloud. But again, if I'm utilizing cloud, whether the cloud is in India or outside of India. Why we don't go ahead with the outside of India? Because some data theft or something happens, then it's not a technology, but it's an inter-country law, right? How we can do the investigations and so on. So coming back, today we talk about metaverse or a blockchain or any of those Web3 ecosystems, which are evolving, and as well as they will accelerate with some kind of a use case, business cases for governments. We spoke today a lot. We heard about this university certificate. Tomorrow, your university is going on metaverse while we were on a Zoom or something like that. So basics remain same. The fundamentals of safeguarding data privacy. So those standards are there. Those standards will evolve. For example, PCI, which is a payment card industry, they are now on a 4.0. Earlier, they were in a 1.0 back in 2009-10. So eventually, based upon what is happening, what type of frauds, what type of learning, what type of guidelines, and what type of inputs are given by experts, their members, it will keep evolving. Again, so like mobile banking came, it came up with a mobile banking guideline provided by a regulator. Internet banking came, it has its own guideline. Metaverse will come, it will have its own guideline. CBDC we are bringing, we started with the concept note, we'll bring on some other guideline. UPI came, it has its own guideline. So guideline is on use cases. It will never come on any of those technologies. Right? Otherwise, we will not be able to do innovations. Like if you bring on a guideline on AI or a guideline, this is how it should, then innovation may not have a larger adoption. Yeah. That's my little input on this. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any more question from anyone, please? With this, we declare the close of the session. Nikhil, Akhil, you would like to say a couple of words? Professor Akhil?
So first of all, thank you so much to all the speakers here, and I really want to thank Sarat, Chandra sir, Prasanna sir to be here, and Mr. Nikhil, Ms. Srishti, and Kamlesh to be part of this panel, and I think more than us giving this platform, because of you, this platform has become much better, all of you, and the panel, the whole content has been recorded and is live on Facebook. We will be putting it in YouTube as well. And I assure you that there will be recurrent customers for this particular webinar, because the content which has been shared is not something which are shared much often in the blockchain and other spaces. So thank you so much to all the guests here, and thanks for the patience to be sitting here and giving us your time. So we will be giving more this kind of a webinar, and we'll be happy to have your participation tonight. Thank you so much to all of you. Thank you. Over to you, Shivasan.
Thank you. We declare the close of the session and look forward for the next session. We'll plan in the near future. Thank you very much. Thanks to everyone.
Thank you so much.